Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I was so happy and honored to be asked to do a piece of art for the Annette Funicello Research Fund for Neurological Diseases. I had a couple of ideas in mind, and this portrait is the first of them. I wanted something that depicted her looking strong and determined, and also every bit the sweet and innocent Annette we all came to love. I thought I would film its creation to give you all a demonstration of how I personally go about drawing a portrait. I am using graphite pencils here, but the ways and means of going about it in charcoal are the same. I'll be giving little tips, tricks, and explanations as I go to help you follow along. First things first. How I like to begin is to start with a very basic, rough outline of the subject, just to set my boundaries and give me the right placement of things. Personally, I get my enjoyment in the shading and the highlighting of a subject. I don't really want to concern myself with the placement as I'm creating, so that's why I take care of all of that to begin with. If you feel comfortable going ahead from a blank sheet though, that's completely fine. To my left, I have my pencils. These are Tombow Mono pencils, which is one of my favorite brands. They range in hardness from 4H, which is on the light side of the spectrum, to a 6B, which is on the darker, softer leaded side. For the sketch, I used a 3H. You can find their numbers printed towards the end of the pencil. Additionally, I like to have a detail eraser, which is what I use primarily. This one is a Tombow Mono Zero and is built like a mechanical pencil, which is handy. I also have a standard eraser, also from Tombow. No, I'm not an affiliate. I just like their products. You'll need a scrap piece of paper and some tortillons or blending stumps. I'm using blending stumps here because I like more stability, but for finer areas, it's tortillons all the way. And last but not least, a couple of sheets of soft Kleenex tissue. You'll see why in a minute. At this point, it's time to select a pencil. As I said before, they range from hard to soft, which in your mind might sound like dark to light, but it's actually the other way around. Hard means a very light line on your paper, and soft is a very dark line because the lead is softer and smears easier off the tip. Here, I'm going to take my scrap piece of paper and select the 3B mid-level softness pencil. I'm essentially treating the scrap paper as my palette, and the graphite is going to be my paint, so to speak. So I'm coloring a semi-heavy area of graphite on the paper. At this point, my camera cut out for some reason and I had to erase my work and start over again. I apologize for the lack of consistency of view in this video and lighting, but it's really not easy for me to draw at the angle I had to for the video's sake. I have since invested in an easel clamp for my camera though, so hopefully future videos will be at a better angle for you. This is primarily why this is a demo instead of a full-on tutorial, but stick with me, I think you'll still pick up a few tricks. I'm going to start the face at the top left because I'm right-handed and it's easier for me to do things that way. If you're left-handed, you might prefer starting from the top right instead. I'm taking my scrap piece of paper with the graphite on it and rubbing the tip of the blending stump in it to transfer the lead. Most of the drawing will actually be done with the blending stump, which tends to surprise people. I use the pencil, of course, but primarily for the darker areas like eyes, eyebrows, and lips. The skin is primarily done with the stump. Anything I use the actual pencil for will always get blended with the stump though. It marries the lead to the paper and gives a nicer effect. Plus, you can eliminate any pencil strokes to make nice, even textures. There is no rule about where to begin on the face. You'll get to a place where you develop an order for your own reasons. For me though, the eyes are definitely the windows to the soul, and I like to finish them before I move on to the rest of the face. It's sort of my way of getting to know the subject, and I feel like I can bring out their personality and soul better if I've set their eyes and familiarized myself to them. Eyes are also the top thing you really need to get correct if you're going for total realism of your subject. Here I have filled in her eyebrows to frame her eyes, and I'm going forward with the rest of her eye area. I move back and forth between the pencil and the blending stump as you see. You'll also see me pick up the paper and pull it towards me now and then. This is just because there was some reflective light happening on the paper at the angle I was working at. I'm just checking my work. You'll also see me come in with my detail eraser to remove some areas of color, refine the lines, or lighten the color. For larger areas like foreheads and cheeks, instead of using the blending stump, you can use the piece of tissue in the same manner. Transferring the lead to the tissue and using it to lightly blend color on the face is a great way to give a nice overall skin tone very quickly. I'm jumping around a little bit here, as I'm prone to do on portraits, and here I am taking my tissue and giving her a bit of skin tone. Annette was quite well lit in the photo I'm working from, so her skin tone appears much lighter. It's really all eyes with this photograph. Continuing on the eyes, I want to note how important it is that you get the same sizing of each of the irises, pupils, and the white reflective areas. If any of these vary, your viewer is instantly going to see a problem with your drawing. Truly, the viewer's eyes will go to the model's eyes first, so make a good first impression. I also want to note that while we call them the whites of the eyes, they're rarely, if ever, actually white. Here they are a very light gray, and there is shading around the eyeball to indicate the roundness of the eyeball. If you make them white or leave them without shading, they will look like one flat plane instead of the spheres that they are. So, here we are. The eyes are out of the way. Something else I'd like to note is the area beneath the eyes. If you're a female artist, you might be prone to eliminating a lot of this area. We do it on ourselves every morning with some concealer, so it has become a bit ingrained in our consciousness to, more or less, wipe the area clean of anything. However, the under eye area really helps build dimension on your subject and give your eyes a home, so to speak. Obviously, here on Annette, she's a teenager, so it's not an issue, but if you were drawing someone older or a self-portrait, don't eliminate everything out of this area. It's natural for us to have some shading or a couple of tiny lines right under the middle of the eye there at any age, so leave those in. I'm working in a clockwise fashion here and moving on to her cheek and jaw area. If you get lucky with your subject and can either see them in real life or in Annette's case in film footage, You can get a feel for their facial planes prior to beginning a drawing or a painting. Pay attention to how the light plays on their bone structure. Do they have prominent cheekbones that catch a lot of highlight? Do they have a more sculpted, chiseled look? What does the light do when they're turning their face? Take some time with your subject, if possible, and really get to know their facial planes. If you're doing this in person, maybe let them know what you're doing in advance just so they don't get the wrong ideas. But truly, it really helps to hold those thoughts in your mind while you're working on the cheeks, jaw, and chin areas especially. Let's zoom in on the nose here so you can see things a little bit better. Again, she's very brightly lit in this picture, so there's not a whole lot of shadows going on with the nose. It's primarily the lower area where the nostrils are that's making the significant shadows, so this, plus a little shadowing to indicate the width of the bridge of her nose, is really enough to suggest the three-dimensional shape of her nose. Moving on to her lips, we see that her top lip is darker. This is because, naturally, our lips go inward in an angle sum to meet the lower lip. This catches shadow, while the peak of the lips at the top often catch the highlights. The lower lip will catch more highlight than the top lip because they tend to be fuller and subject to more of a rounded shape. The lower lip will almost always be lighter regardless of any lipstick color the model might be wearing. Just as I stated before with the whites of the eyes, the teeth are also never actually pure white, not even if you're drawing a newscaster or modern celebrity. It will always be some value of gray. If you make it pure white, the viewer's eyes will tend to get stuck on the teeth and they will start to look sort of like little strange squares, and you'll lose your audience in a flash. I know it feels wrong to make the teeth so dark, but trust your model and what you see, not what you think should be there. The corners of the mouth might also be something you might overlook because they are really underrated areas of the face. However, the more you work on portraits, the more you will learn just how important these corners are. They are the beginning point to many expressions and, although they seem like nothing, express so much individuality in your model. Put some extra attention here and make sure you get them right. At this point, I'm refining Annette's face and paying close attention to the little nuances of shadow and highlight that are on the reference picture I have of her. I keep lifting and blending until things look just right. Moving on to the neck is always fun for me because the amount of shadow necks usually have cause the face you just finished to pop. The rules are the same here, even if things are of a darker value. Use those blending stumps on the tissue and things will look wonderful when you're finished. We're nearing the end of creating Annette's face here. I will upload part 2, where I create her hair, which I will leave a link to down in the description area below. If you're interested in buying this piece of art on canvas, journals, or greeting cards, you can visit the link below to check them out. There are other fantastic designs from other artists as well. All proceeds earned go to the Annette Funicello Research Fund for Neurological Diseases. If you'd like to learn more about her research fund, I will leave more information in the description area as well. As always, if you like this video and want to see more like it, please like and subscribe. I love feedback and suggestions, so if you have any questions or things you'd like to see a tutorial, demonstration, or discussion on, please let me know below in the comment section. You can also check out my Instagram and Facebook pages, the links to which you can find below. Thank you so much for watching, and if you don't mind me saying for the sake of Annette, see you real soon!